So DJI just released the brand new DJI Neo, which I have here, and already we have a huge new DJI Fly update as well as a firmware update for the Neo as well as the Mini 4 Pro and the DJI RC2 controller. But this is mainly going to be a huge upgrade for the DJI Neo because it is now compatible with the RC2 controller, and this is huge news when it comes to traveling, which I will talk about in a sec. But what really caught me off guard was that there was no indication that the RC2 controller would be compatible with the DJI Neo on launch or in the near future. So to have this now compatible with the DJI Neo just changes everything, and it's so fantastic. And from the notes that I received when I got the Neo was that, you know, it would only be compatible with the RCN3 controller, the new RCN3, and the FPV3 controller, as well as the Motion 3 controller and the Goggles 3. And I mean, this is a $199 drone, and this is already selling like hotcake. It's almost sold out everywhere, and you're probably picking one up right now, or maybe you will in the future. So when you are picking up one of these, you can actually grab this as a standalone drone, and you can use it with the DJI RC2 controller, which is just fantastic news. So you no longer have to bring a separate controller for each device you have. So let's say you have the Mini 4 Pro or the Air 3, for example, and you want to buy the DJI Neo so you can capture your family trips or hikes in a more convenient and easier way. I mean, this is so easy to use. So you can just buy this as a drone only, and you can link everything up with the RC2 controller, which is amazing. And maybe in the future you want to get into FPV flying, for example. You don't have to buy a separate FPV drone like the Avata 2, because with the Neo you can also fly FPV. So the only thing you have to get is the Goggles 3 and the FPV controller 3 or the Motion controller 3 to get started with your FPV journey. Now, another interesting thing I also checked out was that I was actually able to connect the Neo to the RC2 controller and the Goggles 3 to get a preview from the Neo inside the Goggles 3. And this is something we saw with the DJI Mini 3 Pro back when that was released, when we tried to connect all of these together. So because it was so easy to connect these three devices together, I assume there will be a firmware update coming in the future, which allows you to fly the DJI Neo with the RC2 controller and use the Goggles 3 to get the live preview screen, which is something that we're already able to do with the Mini 4 Pro. But for now, you're only going to get this warning message saying that the controller is not supported, but hopefully DJI can push out a firmware update which allows us to fly the Neo with the RC2 controller and the Goggles 3 in the near future. But the RC2 controller works just as good with the Neo as it does with the Mini 4 Pro. There is no differences there. The biggest advantage with the RC2 controller though is that it doesn't dim down like the iPhone does. So in my launch video, which you can check out down in the description below, 30 plus things you need to know, recommend that you check out that. But in that video, I had a really hard time seeing the screen on my phone, not only when I was using the phone as the remote controller, but also when I was connecting it to the DJI RCN3 controller. Even here in Norway, where it's usually, you know, cold 365 days a year, the iPhone kept on dimming non-stop, and it was so annoying. Even though it has a brighter screen than the RC2 controller, which has 700 nits, it means nothing when it starts dimming after just a few minutes. So to be able to fly the DJI Neo with the RC2 controller is great news, and something that makes the travel experience much better, especially when I travel to warmer countries. And it also means that I have one less controller to carry. So no longer do I need the RCN3 controller, because I can use the RC2 controller with my Neo and the Mini 4 Pro, and that just makes it more convenient to travel with and also more lightweight. Now, there's also some new features added to this firmware and DJI Fly update. So we now have direction track, voice control, easy tutorials, the RCN2 controller compatibility, which is the older version of this one, and we also have improved image quality and some bug fixes. Now, as for direction track, this basically works similar to follow, but but it tracks you from the position and angle you set it to. So here I have the drone placed to my side. It will track me sideways, similar to parallel tracking on the Mini 4 Pro, which is fantastic. And if I now place it just to the right in front of me, it will track from that position and maintain the speed, distance and altitude as good as possible. But this feature also works best the further away you are from the drone, so I recommend setting the settings and the distance to far and the altitude to high, which will give the best result when using direction track. Now when it comes to voice control, you can now tell the drone what to shoot. So let's say I want to record a drone, for example, I can now just say drone 5 meters and the Neo will execute that quick shot. Hey, fly, drone 5 meters. Another question I also get asked is if you can use master shots on the Neo, and as for now we don't have a master shot, so you only have the option to select the different quick shots, but master shots is basically a sequence of all the quick shots put together. So you can get the exact same things you get with master shots, but you will have to do them separately and then mix it together in post yourself. So the DJI Neo is basically more of a feature limited beginner drone in terms of actual features and settings, so there's going to be less features than what we have on the Mini 4 Pro, for example, but with the added versatility like FPV and manual FPV flying and one-tap quick shots and follow. So you can use this without a controller as well. If you just want to do some quick videos, you basically don't have to use any controller, not even your smartphone. You can just bring this and select the different modes here on the drone itself and execute some of the quick shots or do a tracking shot with follow. And for only $199 I think this is a killer price for what you get and the possibilities you have if you want to take it further and get the DJI RC2 controller, the Goggles 3 and the FPV controller or the motion controller. Now we also have some new beginner guides to make it easier for you as a DJI Neo owner to get started, and this is shown as widgets on your RC2 controller or your smartphone, whether this is connected to the RCN3, RCN2, or if you just use the controller as a standalone remote. And here you can find everything from unboxing to setup, linking, and even how to pull off some creative shots if you're a solo traveler. So I strongly recommend checking out this. Even if you don't have the DJI Neo yet, you can basically get an idea of how this looks, and you can access this on your smartphone and the DJI RC2 controller. So that's just a quick video on the new firmware and the DJI Fly update. The RC2 controller runs perfectly with the DJI Neo, and if there's one thing I strongly recommend getting, it would be the RC2 controller. The experience you're gonna have is gonna be so much better than if you use a phone. Now, I do have a lot of upcoming videos on this drone, so make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss those videos. And that's gonna be everything for today. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye bye.